Welcome. Today's lesson is over absolute value. In our number routine for today, it says write a real life situation that today's number would represent. Where would you see in real life -6? What about I lost 6 yards? You're playing football and you had a loss of 6 yards. I um I go to the ATM machine, or you spent $6. Alrighty. Or below 6 feet. So today you'll be getting your textbook today. Be aware that the replacement cost is $10. Please bring your textbook and ISN to class every day. All right, so let's watch this video.
Say this is Pat on it, what's left? 126 halfway between 3 and 4 tenths. Why? How many miles around it now? Here's where Cameron goes berserk.
This movie is called Ferris Bueller Day Off. He skipped high school and he's joyriding a car. So in order to deter the father from knowing that they actually skipped school and stole the father's car, he's going to drive the car in reverse. So by driving the car in reverse, will the odometer or mileage reader go forward or backward? Let's think about it. If I drive backward, will the distance go forward or backward? I will say it goes forward, because distance is always positive. When you are moving forward or backward, you have a movement. You are moving somewhere. So can distance ever be negative? No, distance can never be negative. Distance is always positive. So in here, in the video, it shows what happened.
Miles aren't coming off. Miles aren't coming off. Well, I thought that might be a problem. Just have to crack open the odometer back by hand.
So from here, you can tell the distance. The miles were not coming off because distance is always positive. It's actually by putting the car in reverse, they're actually increasing the mileage or the distance. All right, so again, here is a number line. Again, you will be walking this number line. So the first one is, what is the opposite of -2? How do you know? So yesterday we talked about the opposite of -2 is 2. Here's -2, and here's 2. As you can tell, -2, the opposite side of it is 2, and they both have a distance of 2 units from 0. What about this one? What is the opposite of 4 and 6/10? How do you know? So let's think about it. If 4 and 6/10 is right here, what would be on the opposite side of 4 and 6/10? I predict it would be negative and 4 and 6/10. They are both 4 and 6/10 units from 0. Next one. Opposite numbers are two numbers that are the same distance from 0 on the number line but are on opposite sides. For example, 3 is the opposite of -3, and -3 is the opposite of 3. Let's count. Are they the same distance? 1, 2, 3 units. 1, 2, 3 units. So these are all considered integers. Again, what are integers again? Integers are whole numbers such as 1, 2, 3, and its opposite, -1, -2, -3. So again, here is our number line. So again, we'll have actually students who will be walking on this number line. The teacher will walk from 0 to 3. So if let's label this 1, 2, 3, and -1, -2, -3. So the teacher is right here. He will walk from 0, sorry, the teacher's right here. He will walk from 0 to 3. How far did he walk? He walked 1 unit, 2 units, he walked 3 units. The teacher will now walk from 0 to -3. Here's 0, -1, -2, -3. How far did he walk? He also walked 3 units. A student will stand at -4. So we're going to have a student who's right here, stand at -4. How far will he or she walk to 0? How far will she walk to 0? 1 unit, 2 unit, 3 unit, 4 units. A student will stand at 5. How far will he or she walk to 0? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 units. That's the distance from 5 to 0. So the distance are number of steps taken from 0 to the number on the number line is called the absolute value of the number. The symbol is represented with these absolute value bars, these vertical bars. So, for example, these vertical bars represents the absolute value. What is the absolute value of -4? So let's find -4. How far is it from 0 to -4? 1 unit, 2 units, 3 units, 4 units. So the absolute value of -4 is 4 because it takes 4 units to get from 0 to -4. Next question. What is the absolute value of 5? So let's label this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is the distance from 0 to 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 units. What about -3 and 5/10? So here's 0. How far is it to -3 and 5/10? 1 unit, 2 unit, 3 unit, and a half a unit. So it's 3 and 5/10 units. And our last question. So what have you noticed here? Distance is always positive. Have you noticed that? Distance is always positive. Our last thing we're going to learn is something called this. So what's the absolute value of -2? How far is it to -2 from 0? Here's 0. It's 1 unit, 2 units. So it's 2 units from 0. But why did I highlight this negative on the outside of the absolute value bar? The reason I highlight it means you need to take the opposite of. Saying, what is the opposite of the absolute value of -2? The opposite, so here's negative is 2 units. The opposite of 2 is -2. So now that we had practice on that, now we are going to actually practice. It's guided practice. So you're going to locate, step 1, locate and label each point. So you're going to locate and label 8. Determine the number that is an equal distance from 0 as the given number and in the opposite direction on the number line. So opposite means it is equal distance from 0, but it's on the opposite direction. And then determine the distance from 0 to the number on the number line. This is called absolute value. So the opposite of 8, what's on the opposite side of it? -8. The absolute value of 8, so how far is it from 0 to 8? Let's count the number of units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 8 because it is 8 units from 0. Next one, let's graph and plot -9. What is on the opposite? What's the opposite of -9? What's on the other side of -9? 9, because they are both 9 units from 0. The absolute value of -9, or so how far is it from 0 to -9? Let's count. Distance 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's 9 because it is 9 units from 0. Next one, let's grab 0. The opposite of 0 is, you see anything on the opposite side? No, it's just 0. The absolute value of 0 is 0 because it is 0 units from 0. It doesn't go anywhere. The number is 6 and 2500. 6 and 2500, that would be between 6 and 7, but closer to 6 or is it closer to 7? I say it's closer to 6. The opposite of 6 and 2500, what is on the opposite side? It would be -6 and 2500. The absolute value of 6 and 25 is, so what's the distance from 0 to 6 and 2500? 1 unit, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 and a quarter, because it is 6 and 2500 units from 0. So have you noticed that absolute value, the distance is always 0, because you're counting the number of units or number of steps from 0. So it's going to be positive. Next one. This is where it takes a little more thinking. I'm going to see who remembered this from elementary school. You have the improper fraction of 9/4. Do you remember this? How many 4s go into 9? 2 holes. That's 8. What do you have left? 1/4. Some of you may have learned this in elementary school. Instead of doing it mentally, you do it by division. 9 divided into 4 groups. You have 4 go to 9 2 times. What do you have left? 1, 2, and 1/4. And to check your work, you may have learned to turn a mixed number back to an improper. You multiply the whole number and the denominator. 8 plus 1 more is 9/4. So that would be 2 and 1/4. That would go right here. What is on the opposite side of that? -2 and 1/4. They're both equally from 0. The absolute value of 9/4 is 9/4. 1, 2, 2 and 1/4 units from 0 because it is 2 and 1/4 units from 0. So what, and let's go our last part. Why did I draw an arrow on this outside of this? What is that trying to tell me? It means you need to do the opposite of. So what is the absolute value of 8? Here is 8. How many units is it? 1 from 0. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 units from 0. But what is the opposite of 8? -8. So opposite of 8 is -8. So let's solve it. 5. How far is it to 5 from 0? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. But what's the opposite of that? -5. Next one. -4. How far is it from 0 to -4? 1, 2, 3, 4 units. But this means do the opposite of it, -4. And negative are opposite of absolute value of 3 plus 4. So we have 3, 1, 2, 3. Add 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 7. But what's the opposite of that? Negative 7. So our last part of our lesson is given two integers, how do you know which integer is greater? If I was given 10 and 6, which one's larger? Well, of course, 10 is larger than 6. But how do you know that? $10 is more than $6. How do you know that 10 is greater than 6? 2 and 0. How do you know 2 is 2 greater than 0? How do you know that? Other than using money? Because I will ask this question, which one's greater, 0 or negative 4? I hear from students, whichever one is closer to 0. Now, for example, if I ask 2 and 6, that you use that logic, and you say 2, that means 2 is larger because it's closer to 0. Or you may say, which one is farther from 0 is larger? Well, if I have negative 4 and 2, which one, if you use that same logic, then negative 4 is larger than 2. A negative is larger than a positive because it's farther from 0. I want someone to say a number line goes from least to greatest. Oops. Let me erase this. It goes from least to greatest. So a number, so using a number line, you can tell if the number is on the right hand side, it is greater than the number on the left hand side. For example, 0 is greater than negative 4. It's greater. If I had negative 4 and negative 6, which one would be greater? Negative 4 is greater than negative 6. It is on the right of negative 6. Think about it. Let's use real life situation. I lost $4 or lost $6. Who's in a better situation? Someone who lost $4. So our last part is filling out this word bank. So first word is deposit. Where would I put deposit? The numbers negative 3 and 3 are. Money placed in the bank is that would be under deposit. Next one. Where would I put negative number? Negative 3 and 3 are negative? No. The numbers 8, no, that's not an example of negative. The negative number of negative 1, oh, could be. No. A bank transaction, no. Absolute value always be a negative number? No, good. Distance is always positive. A number to the left of 0 is a negative number. Correct. Next one. Absolute value. Which one shows absolute value about, or something about distance? Distances. Oh, the absolute value of negative 1. Let's check it out. The absolute value of negative 1 is 1. It's how many units is 0 from 0 to negative 1? 1 unit. That's correct. Next one. I don't know why it does this. Opposite number. Isn't negative 3 and 3 opposite each other? It is. Positive number. Absolute value will always be a positive number. Integers. 8 and negative 2 are examples of integers. Integers are whole numbers, like 8, and the opposite of it, negative 8. So you can have negative, yes. Withdraw, taking out. Bank transaction that could be represented by a negative number. When you take money out of the bank from your checking, that's a negative. Rational number. The absolute value will always be a rational. No. The numbers, the fraction, negative 1/5 and 2/10. Can 2/10 be written as in fraction form? Let's see, 2/10. Yep. So a rational number is an example of numbers that can be written as fractions. And our last example, and that's it. Good. And for those who want to be challenged, can you find possible value to make this equation true? Think of a number, any number, and the absolute value of that, and it'll always be 3. What would it be? Let's think. So if you had a number line from 0, the distance from 0 to a number, 3 units. 1, 2, 3. So it would be 3, 1, 2, 3, and negative 3. 3 and negative 3. Pull. Yep, absolute value of 3 and absolute net value of negative 3 equals 3. What about this one? You have a number line. Negative 2. How far is it from to 2? 2 units. How far is it to negative 2? 2 units. I don't think there's an answer here because isn't absolute value always has to be positive? There is no solution. And this is the study of absolute value.